Okay, open this public hearing on the, what is it? Just a public meeting. It's, we're holding it at the old town hall. It's December 10th, 2018 at 6:02. May I have a roll call, please?
Marshall Bishop here. Michael Wilson here.
Steve McQuinney here. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, what we'll do is for a public meeting aspect of this, we have a presentation that we wanted to put, but what we will do first is we'll hear from the public of their thoughts on what's to happen here. So let's open it up for that. Does anybody have anything to say?
She'll start.
Sure.
I'm sorry, my hearing is very, very bad, so I don't understand. Do you want me to be here or up closer?
I can hear you fine.
I'll be a little more comfortable because my hearing is
Okay.
really bad.
I'll let you have a hearing aid if you want one.
And particularly with male voices, and there you are. But as you may know...
You state your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Carolyn Baldwin. My home is on Pancake Hill Road, though I'm in winter in Concord at Havenwood. I've lived full year-round in town for more than 45 years. And as you may know, I had the privilege of presenting this building for the State Register of Historic Places. So I had to learn something about it. And I realized it survived the 1915 fire, as you may know, along with the church and a few other buildings this way. It's a key building right here in the ironworks. And it's housed a lot of important Gilmanton things, from the Odd Fellows and the Grange, to the selectmen, the town clerk, and of course now our Historical Society Museum and our curators here. So I urge you at this point to take a hard look at Gilmanton Ironworks and what this building place is in this village. We've seen something happening in the corners with some new businesses and people moving around and recognizing, of course, we saved the academy a few years ago, and you remember that in the church. But now it's time to look at the ironworks. It's a real opportunity. So I'm urging you to work with the planning board. Which one of you is on the planning board?
I am.
You are, Marshall. To look at the Plan New Hampshire charrette program. Okay. We did that with the library years ago, and it brings people together to talk about, with some people who have some expertise in planning and villages. We don't want to start tearing the guts out of the village before we know what we're doing. And there are some real issues in the ironworks, we know that. Stage Road, Elm Street is the one everybody's waiting for a disaster at, but the building here is so key. And despite my hearing, you know this is the only auditorium in town with decent acoustics where you can hold a meeting and most people can hear. And I would really suggest that you look at the plan. It costs a little money, but it's a 2-day program. It brings people together with planning experts, with architects, with people who look at the whole community around a particular building, and come up with some ideas of where do we want to go? What do we want to do with this village? And the important features of it. It's been here some of the buildings have been here well into the 19th century, and many of them since the 2015. I don't want to talk long to you, so I prepared, and I don't have enough for everybody, but I have a couple.
Do you want to run some copies downstairs?
And,
Just 4.
You sent it via email too, right?
I'm sorry.
You sent it through email?
I did.
So I have
I
copies
also
of
sent the
those.
Plan New Hampshire charrette material as so that you have that available. And I really appreciate you letting me come on first, because I have to drive back to Concord. Hungry.
Hangry.
And I really appreciate that.
Did you need copies, or were you all set?
Yeah, we have, she gave us all of it. Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you. And I look forward to participating in the charrette when it happens.
Great.
Hi.
Hi.
Joanne Weld, NELLE, Gilberton Ironworks. We live right next door to Old Town House. We have a very vested interest in what you do with it, both from our property values and the safety. But I do want everybody to just remember this is a residential area. We have kids that live next door, we have little kids live across the street. So whatever we do for use in the building, please remember that. We all live here, and we're concerned about noise and traffic and, what goes on every evening in the building and those kinds of things. So all I'm asking is that you take into consideration that this is a residential area, it's part of the village, even though it's on 140. And we've got a, going down there, but it is quiet at night, and it is nice at night. But we do have kids, and we do want to have protection and safety for our kids, whatever we end up doing with the building. It's a great building, it's got good bones, it just needs some work, and see what happens.
Is this a residential area?
Oh, yeah.
This is?
I mean, I don't know if this is on as an extent, but our building is, residential. We looked it up on the thing, so, I mean,
This
it's
particular
it's
plot
not
is-
way around, there's still people that live here. And, we're here every day, and we're in and out of traffic and in and out of place, so.
I would like to hear from you guys suggestions of what you would like to do with the building, like if you want to have a rec hall night for the kids here, or something along those lines, what can we use and utilize the space for, so it's not a cost and no one's really utilizing. That's my biggest thing. I mean, we use it for the museum, which is great, but we have all this great space here and it's not being utilized.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what would be the best use. I don't know what the needs of the community are completely. So personally speaking, I just wouldn't want anything that had a rock band going on stage in here at night, or any of that kind of stuff. I don't want a bar in here, that kind of activity. I think that if enough people, and if we had suggestions from that group that Carolyn was talking about, that has worked with planning to use old buildings in residential areas, that they may have some good ideas of what to do once some of the needs are identified in the community. And I know that there's taxpayers that don't want to put any money into it, there are taxpayers that do, that's the way it is with everything that we have, but it would be really bad to tear it down. That would satisfy people who don't want to have to deal with taking care of it, but it's got potential to have some use that wouldn't be very expensive. We could just look at what the needs of the community are and where it fits, so.
I'd like to say something like that. Our biggest goal is to get the taxpayers involved here, because we feel just like you do, that there's a lot to offer here, there's a lot to do, but some of it is going to take money.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that you can't fix it all at once, but we can fix, things that have to be fixed and everything. But we want the taxpayer to get involved, to say, and actually, basically, put it up to them.
It might be helpful to just do it, know that it's not going to get fixed right away, that we have a plan for it. But I think part of it is identifying what does the community need that this building could help with. And then that might help get us started with what direction to
biggest goal is like tonight. I don't think the word really got out there, like it should have. So we really need to get the people involved here, get them to come and work together and talk about it and see what they need. And I understand that it's a residential area, but it's also a business area also, because you have the store down there, the post office, and all this stuff. So the taxpayer is definitely going to have to work together, all this thing, because we just want to do what they want.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is if the taxpayers vote that they don't want to have anything to do with this and decide to sell the building, it would be important for all the rest of us to know how it would be zoned, for what use it would be zoned and how it would be zoned if it was to be sold to somebody. As a, and there's no guarantee it was tear it down. Just what would happen if nobody, if the majority doesn't want to have anything to do with the building, then,
Thank you.
I guess I'd like to mention a few things.
Name.
I'd like to mention a few things, but I'd also like to comment after I see your presentation. If you don't mind. We had a Gilman Capital Improvement Study Committee done in October 4th, 2010. Do you have a copy of that?
I don't.
You get a copy?
like a month ago.
Okay. And in there, we, a group of 8 or 10 people made recommendations about this building. And one was that the town continue to maintain ownership so it can control the building. If you get someone else in here who buys this building, you have no control. You can't even control what happened on Stage Road right now. How do you control how this building looks or how it fits into the community? So, and I thought too, like everybody else did, where you said this was a hearing. It's not a hearing.
I just wanted to hear what the public had to say about it.
Unless someone checked on Friday, whenever it was posted, nobody even knew this was even happening.
I think like a change of location might have helped to have, like a
Was-
change of location sort of bold so people could see.
So can I speak
It
to that?
was,
It was listed on the website
Yeah.
as this building. It was also put on the scroll. It was posted appropriately.
Right.
It's not a public hearing, so that's what you want to be very careful of. It's public input based on this topic.
Right.
So public hearing does have different parameters, posting in the paper and everything like that. It's not.
You just based it upon what Steve was telling us at the
Right.
budget committee meeting on the 10th.
And I did reiterate that evening.
And I know you posted everything in the school. When you get done that meeting, I went home and there was nothing on the website concerning this meeting whatsoever.
Because there's only a 24-hour requirement,
Right,
but everything's posted on Friday.
That's why you don't have more people here, because I can tell you there's a pretty good chance that new people in this public hearing, these seats would be all out here, and people sitting in there explain to you how important this building is, especially to Danvers as a town building. And so,
Can we have a public input again, or is this a?
no, go ahead.
You can have a public hearing, honestly. This was just to start the
Right.
conversation.
Right, okay.
Right. So back in 2010, we recommended that you continue to maintain the building, basically the first floor. Don't spend any money on the second floor until the needs of the community will warrant an addition with an elevator and all that, and just maintain this part of the building. There are all kinds of improvements in here that we talked about doing. I don't know if they've been followed through yet or not. You have a budget now around $4,000 to $6,000 every year. It could be spent on the building. You could do the handicap accessibility issues here. You could fix the ramp. You could put panic hardware on the doors out there. You could do signage and do what you really need to do. But I'd like to see your presentation before I comment more.
I'm Terry Mel, I live next door, I work for her. I'm pleased to see the conversation beginning, but I hope this is just the beginning of a conversation because there's so much that we don't know. We have more questions than answers, so you're looking to us for answers, but you have to answer some questions before we can even begin to make suggestions. Otherwise, we're in a ready, fire, aim strategy, and that just doesn't work. We don't even know. We need to know what are the base costs that we have to spend in this building to continue its use or to make it available for the use? Are there things that we just have to do, just have to spend money on? So I'm guessing there's probably some kind of a base cost to fix falling out windows or other things that need to be fixed before we can even open it up to other suggestions. Some questions we need to address: are there functions in the town that could use this building if those base repairs were in place? Like, could we save money by not renting the SAU building and putting the SAU people? I don't know if it's a good idea, but it's the kind of thing that you think about. Or are there other town functions? Are we running out of space in the academy building where we need to need other space? Perhaps this is a place to do some of those kinds of things. So I'm glad we're having the conversation, but I just really urge you to take time, get a lot more public input, put some information out there about what has to be done before you can really do anything else to the building. Because I think that should probably be substantial costs. And that will just help us figure out, put some kind of boundaries about what might be possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does the board have any ideas at all? Oh, sorry, Robert. Does the board have any ideas, or is tonight the first night, or is this what this presentation is to give us what your ideas are now?
Yeah, we'd like to hear what the public has to say and what they might want to see done with the building, how the building might be utilized.
So, and maybe I should jump into the presentation, because very quickly this presentation is going to be useless. So one, this is a public meeting, not a public hearing. This is to start the discussion. We don't intend to jump into anything. We are, like you, we have more questions than answers. And this is what the whole presentation is about. The presentation, actually, the main purpose was for people who are only familiar with this room to understand what's going on with the rest of the building, because this room is much better than most of the rest of the building. And you'll see, I mean, it's just ideas put on slides to start the discussion, but we would surely entertain more public meeting before probably a public hearing, because again, we need to have more answers, I think, before we get to a public hearing, where we would have like more of an idea of a direction or something like that. I'd be happy to start the presentation whenever you feel ready.
I'd like to say one thing. You know, we on the board had talked about this and looked at it and talked about it, kicked it around. The biggest thing is this, at that curve point.
Oh, sorry, what?
It's at the curve point that we need to do something. It's been neglected for years. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But it just reached the point that we want to see what the public wants to do, because if we don't do anything, the building is going to go away. And a whole lot of us don't want it to go away, but we still need to look at it because it's costing. And we just have to do what the taxpayer wants, but we want to do what you guys want. So it's not, yeah.
Because obviously the obvious costs to me are lights and heat. So, I mean, you're throwing, and never mind any maintenance that is required to keep up the building.
Have you ever done upstairs?
I can remember, and I don't know if it was here or
We should do this, and then we'll talk.
You're gonna have 2 minutes. You're gonna have
No, we're gonna. Did you want to?
It actually has nothing to do with this. Excuse my ignorance, I didn't know that it was specifically going to be about this, so I had a question. Is it not appropriate to
No, we
ask a
should do
question?
that.
You had what? Yeah, fine.
It is on. Hi, my name is Casey Brennan. I just would like to start with a statement. I was able to watch you guys' workshop last week, or whatever you guys did it, but I saw it this morning, and I was just wondering, and I was quite disturbed at the fact that you guys didn't want to give anybody the PD a raise. Now, I can understand where it comes from, the head of the police department, but when it comes to every other individual in that police department, I don't think you guys are being very fair on the raises that you gave and the raises that you weren't, since some of those individuals do not work with the selectmen on a day-to-day basis, or a month basis, or a year basis. So I guess my question is, was the raises based on professional, or was it based on personal situations that you dealt with the officers? So
The police department didn't get flatlined. The raises that were given out are on merit alone. The 1.5 has nothing to do with it. So anybody that got a raise, the board felt as though that it was warranted because it was merit in it.
did you see the evals of each individual officer?
No. Well,
What? Yes, ma'am?
So,
what?
so those evaluations were just received today.
I'm sorry?
The evaluations were just received today.
Okay.
The town administrator does have them, the board has not seen them. But that budget at that workshop was brought down line by line in specificity for that reason.
And I understand that. And I guess that's where I'm basing my question off of. How are you going to base off merit if you don't deal with those individuals on a day-to-day basis or a month basis or even a year basis? When the only time that you have interactions with those individuals is either on a professional level where you see them around town, or it's a professional when the subjects are working and you are not. So that's my question, because there's nothing, you can't base anything off of merit if you don't know what I or my officers or the chief has done throughout the year. Besides the head, besides the department head, how do you base that merit?
Well, their interactions with everything. I mean, we all have knowledge of how everybody is working out in this town. We know what's going on. We're
How do you know
apprised of
that?
it. We're apprised of it.
But how do you know each
Well,
individual?
and some individuals firsthand.
What does that mean?
Firsthand. We dealt with it firsthand.
So you're basing that merit off first. What do you mean first?
Firsthand. It's what we, as a board, have had interactions with some of the employees, and we felt as though some of those employees didn't warrant a merit raise.
So the
I don't
sergeant's individually.
That's my answer.
So you
My
can't
answer
go
is,
with that,
is that,
you can't get me to understand it because I'm taking
I
it
don't know.
personally. That's why
well, you shouldn't.
I have to.
Well, that's your prerogative.
So, can I just interject something? So he's coming as a person, a resident. It's also crossing the lines of personnel. So at any time, Casey, feel free to come to the office, discuss it on the personnel level. You're more than welcome to discuss it in public as you are.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing.
However, the line of personnel versus public information, you just might not want everybody to know all the details as far as decision making. And I know the board has to be very careful when responding to these requests as well.
And that's fine. Yeah, and I'm aware of that. And as far as I'm concerned, as Casey Brennan, I just wanted to know how you differentiated those merit raises for the whole town, and then the only individuals that did not get a raise was one, the chief of police, and two, the sergeant. And I just don't understand how you can base merit off of, if you haven't even seen my eval, which was fantastic, and you're going to base it off your merit, which you say is your individual interactions.
Well, one of, but I'm not going to name. I'm not going to name. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to talk about any of that.
That's fine.
We kept it general, and you just didn't. So that's not general anymore when you start saying names.
Okay.
So
So you're just not going to talk because
I gave you my answer.
Okay. Which was what?
That it's on merit, and one of the ways that it is done with merit is that it's on interactions that we've had with anybody, with all of the town employees. We have interactions with all of the employees at one point or another.
Okay. And they're just unjust. Like I guess I'm not.
No.
Is this public input?
I guess so.
Well, is public input, I understand Casey asked a question, but are we supposed to be having a discussion back and forth?
Not really. Not
So
really.
then why are we doing that?
Okay. Just point of order is what you say.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, point of order. I mean, Casey has the right to ask a question, but you guys aren't going back and forth
Right,
in public input.
agreed.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Let's go to the show. I still need the way. Too low? It's coming into it.
You're gonna have to turn some lights.
Yeah, that's good. We're gonna leave something on. Might cock it just a little bit. Aw. I hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Popcorn?
I think it tilts.
Is that disconnected yet?
Then go in. Then did it move?
That's coming.
Wait a minute, I think I have to reboot or something.
Try not to turn it back too much.
There we go. Is this your first PowerPoint presentation?
No.
It looks like.
With this thing, yeah.
That's me, huh? I think you had to warm up, Patrick, the first time. There we go. Clean it now. Now you let it set for a second, I think.
We're working on it.
Here it comes. It's coming. One of the things.
Heather, is there any way to post this on the website by chance?
Yeah.
Well, depending on, yes, I can just
That'd be great if you
Just touch it and touch it.
You got the magic touch here, Mr. Bishop.
Okay, now here's the first one. You are here.
Shouldn't be doing that. No, it was fine. It's got a long. Yeah, it's got a long. It's just where it's set.
Masha, why don't you adjust it again?
See if I can do this.
Oh, how about?
Move your cup.
What are you doing, Patrick? Bring that in.
Come on.
Is this your equipment?
It's the town's equipment.
Okay. And if she's starting to warm up now.
Yeah.
The
Nobody did.
fire in there or something. Yeah, it's- now we can adjust it. Yeah, it is easy to move the screen. Okay.
So, actually,
Marshall.
a lot of what you're going to see is already being discussed, but so, you know, all this, so this building was built in 1902, was an old fellows hall. It was actually hosting Hot Fellows and the Grange meetings in here. It's one of the two buildings that survived the fire of 1915. It was purchased in the town, by the town in 1926. There were town meetings held here for a while. Town offices, the police department downstairs. It is a beautiful building. So you have a very nice architecture. The auditorium where we're in. The other three pictures are actually pictures from the ceiling upstairs, which is a beautiful room.
Not only the ceilings, but the picture at the bottom, you can see the walls. Then, so the presence of this building. So you have the Historical Society Museum downstairs that rents the place for free. So you have that big room, then you have more of an office in the back, which is up left there, and a vault, which is the old vault from the building, which hosts all of the important documents, which is protected by the vault, except maybe some humidity issue. Also part of the present, so you have 10 contradence meetings a year, and for a minimum fee of $125 for the 10 events.
Is that $12.50 a time, or is it $125 at a time?
125 total.
Because I rented it last year for a party, for my, graduation party for the Wilmington senior graduates, and I paid $150 for one time. So.
That makes sense.
No, I was happy to do it because it's such a great space, but I'm like $12.50 a time. Wow.
So there are some other meetings, but most of the time it's actually free of charge. And part of the reason is because we have restrictions and limitations because of the state of the building to maybe expand in terms of use.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the issues, we have some issues with ADA standards. You have some cracks. You've got a ramp that's not necessarily up to code because of the space where a wheelchair would have to turn in the corner because of the slope. Some of the boards in different places would have to be replaced, not to mention that...
Was it the pitch? The pitch of it
Right,
was
yeah.
the pitch, and there wasn't a big enough corner landing?
Right.
It does work, but, it's run down.
Right.
But it's code, we need code, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
Right. Not to mention that, so in the back there, that's where you would come from the parking lot, through the sidewalk, which needs a lot of work, into this ramp here, which is not necessarily the best approach for somebody who would have some kind of handicap. Now, this is the upstairs. So the upstairs, you have things like drywall falling apart, all kinds of moistures everywhere. The moistures is, among other things, because other than this floor, you don't have storm windows. So the windows are taking a beating, and it shows everywhere. There is no heat upstairs other than the heat that would come from down here up. Possibly structural issues, that's not sure. Then, and that's important, so the envelope of the building needs not only cosmetic work, but doesn't seem to be fulfilling its duty of protecting the inside. So the things, again, like watering boards, no storm windows upstairs, there may be some patching needed on the roof, although altogether the roof doesn't look too bad. Again, so no storm windows upstairs. Utility systems, they seem to work so far. Except maybe some issue with a sump pump, that's the basement, so that's under here. And it would probably be, again, so some quick fix where you would have a protective tarp or something to keep the moisture from getting into the equipment. All the utility system is maintained regularly.
Is adding dirt floor down this?
That's the floor, yes.
Under this part.
Yes, under here. So some more outside issues. You've seen the cracks everywhere. We have buses that are apparently parking on leach fields, which could be an issue.
Why?
But that's something you guys can control easily, huh? Isn't it?
Right, it's all
Just
apart.
cutting off of it.
Okay, I guess, okay.
Or this is fixable, Steve. Okay. All right. So, and again, this is not a public hearing. This is to start the discussion. I just put 3 potential options on the paper to get the discussion going. So the first one is to retain ownership. Steve is correct. There was a 2010 report that recommended this, and a number of things. Everybody recognizes this is historically a very important building, and even more so for Ironworks, part of the town. Maybe it can be turned into a revenue asset. That would need some, a little bit of creative thinking to see how we can get revenue, but there are probably options. Because right now, part of the story, as Chairman Wilson said, is this is not Chairman, I'm sorry,
Wow.
Selectman Winson.
Whoa, something I don't know?
This is a cost center. There's almost no revenue coming in. So how far can we go that way? That the voters will have to decide. But so if you keep ownership, then there's got work to be done on this building. So you can go through different steps. The first one would be to bring it up to code, because otherwise it's a liability, and then you can't get more use to it. Maintain viability, which would be fixing the envelope, so it's like stone windows upstairs probably, and fixing a few things that I should have from outside. The big question is like, I mean, another step is like, so do we maintain what's good right now and that's it? Or do we go and try to fix the upstairs, which is beautiful, but like falling apart everywhere? And then you've got the ongoing maintenance. So yes, you're right, we have a budget right now, which is $7,000 for repair and maintenance.
Is that what you paid for a year to maintain the building?
No.
No, that's the budget.
That's a budget plus, I think, 14 grand, I think, to maintain this building without, I think it's without the 7,000. I think it's 14,000 for heat, lights,
Yeah, I
phone.
think
A year?
Yes.
the heating is something like $2,000, but as you can tell, we keep the heat low.
But it
It
won't
just
go
came-
quickly when you need to.
It just came on.
Right.
The, so it's 14,000 a year to.
Something like that.
maintain basic heat and lights.
Right.
And.
Yeah, it doesn't?
Yeah, right, and it was, yeah, okay.
The thing is that, so, since 2010, those
I'm not sure, I think so. I have the
most of
same
those
no, but you might
recommendations
be right.
haven't been acted upon.
Well, because, and shame on me for not going through, the mountains of, town reports that I have, but I thought that there was, I thought every year there was money being put, in for, like, the painting and some of those projects in addition to just the basic, keeping the building running. So shame on me for not knowing, but I thought that money was being set aside for this.
Well, there's money aside of it right now, Laura, that is like just under $5,000, but where do you spend it? That's the key to it right now. everybody, they were saying paint and stuff, but it's not paint that we need life-saving issues, crash bars and exit lights, and in order for us to feel good about letting someone utilize the building, they should have all of that, you know?
So the second option is some kind of transfer of ownership. So we can just put it for sale. We could transfer it to the Historical Society. I'm not sure they would want it. It would have to be a sale as is. We're not going to fix anything, obviously, before we sell. And so that would imply relocating the Historical Society Museum. There are probably different options here. I'm not sure the Historical Society would want to go back to the Academy building. It's maybe not in the spot they were before, but that's something that would have to be considered. So there, other than the cost of like advertising the sale and selling, then you're done. It brings another set of issues in terms of neighboring and so on, and what happens to these buildings. And then this one, I know that like it's going to create a lot of, but if there is a decision by the voters of this town not to put any money in this, eventually we'll end up here. You don't want to have a building that starts falling apart, that starts looking ugly from the outside, that can be squatted inside for whatever illegal activities, and therefore you would look into diminishing this beautiful building, which would probably be heartbreaking. And then, so you can keep the land, sell the land. That's probably an easier decision after that. And that would also require the relocation of the Historical Society. So, as you can tell, this is just the beginning of the discussion. There's a lot of work to be done. Potential next step is like, yes, we can get a little bit more details, get quotes for what work can be done, and have steps. The 2010 report had some numbers, but they're almost
8 years old.
9 years old now, so to which extent they still apply, I'm not sure. But they are good directions in there. And in any case, this is a decision for the citizens of this town. So we'll go when we're ready to the public hearing and town meeting and so on, but we're not there yet. At best, we could act upon the first sub-bullet here at the town meeting this year by trying to get some money to get like a survey done on this building.
Or drive. There you go.
So the timeline, so you sort of answered the question I had, which was what's the timeline? So you're hoping for town meeting to
I think
make some kind of a proposal?
realistically speaking, I'm looking at the budget committee members here. Only the first one can happen this year. Get a better idea as to how much are we talking about. And once we have that, then we can decide, do we go step by step? Do we do 2 steps at a time? Or like it's already so expensive that it's going to become an issue. So
that's the first thing to do.
right.
I asked for recommendations. This was very helpful to see, and having seen this, I guess my recommendation would be to do that first step of trying to get some costs for getting the code so that it could be used by different groups, and then to evaluate are there actually ways to recover some costs. I don't know that it would ever be profit making, but to recover some of the cost from this cost center. To preserve the building and keep it as a historical landmark in Gilmanton and being used by people somehow.
Well, Mr. Mel, the problem that I've seen in a lot of towns, and I've worked probably 4 of them, is that you have to get the taxpayer to participate in it. You have to get big, because I've actually talked to about 3 groups here and said, oh yeah, you know, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that, but I don't want to get involved though. I said, well, you have to get involved because it's going to take the taxpayer to make a decision on it and kind of put the future, where do we want to be in 2 years, where do we want to be in 4 years, or where do we want to be in 5 years for this building. It has a lot of possibilities. So we can only hope that we can get the taxpayer out to come and, work with us on it.
There was a comment in there, the one option on where it says no reserve, no capital reserve, the possibility of an L-chip grant. What all is involved there?
L-chip is, which, we've done for several projects in town here.
The Cooper, the cabins, the schoolhouse now, we've done more.
Yeah.
At least one more somewhere else. They're definitely eligible for L-chip. Up to 50% to make the repairs if they accept it. You're also eligible for a assessment grant from the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance, up to $4,500. They have that, and that will give you all those numbers that you're talking about, and the potential uses are as a conditions report, all those things, and you have all that information in front of you to try to figure out.
What's the L chip? I mean, how much money is that?
It's land, community, heritage investment program.
But I mean, the amount, isn't it?
It depends on the project. I mean, you can go online and look up L-chip. They just released funds for, the projects for 2019.
Yeah, it wasn't just given on Friday.
I mean, is it what, $500,000? Are we looking at
It
that?
depends on the project. I mean, I
So
think.
Centennial Hall, which is kind of like this building in that separate in Northampton, is the downstairs is utilized really heavily. The upstairs has not been touched since 1950. And now they've received an L-chip grant to go through and expand up into the upstairs. And they received $200,000 from L-chip towards that process. So with an addition and an elevator, it's a $2.8 million project. But it's $200,000 towards that. It's typically up to 50%
Of your project
of your project.
per year,
No.
or just the whole
Just that
project?
It's a one shot, and you have 2 years.
You get either 18 months or 2 years to complete the project. You can go for an extension after that if you want. We've had several projects go through them. They're great to work with. It's a great way of helping you get started on a project, whether it be through Preservation Alliance, for that mini grant for the assessment, whether it's through L-chip. So you can say, the state can believe what we're doing. You have to be a non-profit, or a municipality to get L-chip money, which you qualify for that. You can raise up to 25% of your match. 50% of the match can be in in-kind donations or donated materials. We've done it for a bunch of towns, and we've involved with towns getting more. Milton just finished the project over in Milton. Like I said, Centennial Hall, Castle and Clouds, and all those got 4 or 5 L-chip grants for the time. I can tell you right now, the reason why you got the academy cupola fixed and the schoolhouse taken care of is because the people of Gilman have always stood behind the historical buildings. You start talking about even demolishing one of them, the last time you see any grant money come to town of Gilman, I'll tell you that part.
Did you see anyone?
You'll never see any more money come to the town of Gilmanton for anything to do with historic structures.
But from L chip?
From L-chip.
Now, I know right now, that the, Smith Meeting House, the schoolhouse, George Roberts is in the process of applying for L-chip for some restoration work there.
For next year.
Yeah, and then the Lower Gilmanton Church. So Gilmanton has 2 more projects that we're getting in line for, and so there is a lot of commitment to restoring historic spaces here in the town. Also, the Kelly Schoolhouse, you know, when you do a project like this, it is, you know, you apply, we got the moose plate from the Preservation Alliance, I mean, from the State Division of Historic Resources, and the LCHIP, but we also did a capital campaign to raise our match and then our in-kind donations. And, you know, there are a lot of people who will help. I mean, it's a big project, but I mean, I just can't imagine seeing this village without this building is just unthinkable.
Is, like on what the second option was to change ownership, is, like say the Historical Society, they have better range of grants than the municipality would?
Yeah, I mean, we're just like you guys. I mean, in terms of, you know, if we wanted to do anything big, we'd have to do all the same stuff. Apply for LCHIP, you know, but we're really not, I mean, for the size of our town, our Historical Society, and John is the one who should comment on it. But as much as I, you know, would love to be able to expand our museum, because we just can't show everything we have because we don't have enough space downstairs.
We couldn't pay half of the utilities with the kind of money.
Yeah, right. Oh, there's the treasurer.
But I mean for more grant monies. Are they?
So I don't think that we're really. I mean, we can certainly look into it, but as a historical society, don't know.
We're a rent-free tenant. I don't know that we have any money in that area.
But it's like the state, like we're part of the state historical society kind of thing, and whether or not there are funds there, I kind of doubt it because we're all, you know, we all just struggle.
I just didn't know if there was other avenues that the Historical Society could go instead of where the municipality can.
No, there aren't.
Who would have more cap, you or the town?
The town.
The town?
Well, absolutely. You would need to be close. Yeah. I was a treasurer for the Historical Society back 35 years ago, and they only had like $200 in their account. And I was stayed like that for 3 or 4 years. There's no money there.
So do I nominate you when I'm through?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm going to pass the sword.
So, I mean, how can we have a meeting with more people attending?
You're going to actually have a public hearing, a real public hearing, that's noticed ahead of time. And believe me, the word will get out, and there'll be plenty of people here. You got to remember, and people always say this, if you ask for a public hearing, the turns out for that public hearing in favor of saving this building, that holds cloud with someone whispering in your ear in a private conversation. I think they should tear it down. Because those people took the time to actually come from their night, to come to a meeting, and sit there and go through the discussion.
Yeah.
But then you can turn it around and say that the people that don't want to spend the money on the building aren't going to show up. But the power is in the vote. And that's where we're at. Is that where we're at, Mike?
I haven't heard anybody that I talked to mention tearing the building down. I think everybody wants to see the building stay and get fixed up to some extent or another. It's at what point and how much money does the town and we want to spend fixing the building up is what we're kind of trying to hear. I would personally hate to see spending a couple $100,000 in the building and no one's utilizing it. If we can find the use for the building, whether it's Friday night rec hall for the kids or GYO uses it for their meetings, more use.
It can be.
And that's what I would
reason, as a bus community, why we can't meet here. The acoustics are much better. And as you know, we can't even hear each other.
But not in its current condition. So for meetings, this is inappropriate for some staff to be here due to health conditions.
What kind of health conditions?
I have medical conditions where I'm immune that every time I come in this building, I get ill. So that's one. I'm not the only staff member. There's 2 other staff members that have those conditions.
And it's like a mildew thing, maybe?
That's part of it, yeah.
I can smell it right now.
So, like you can hear my voice right now, it's starting to change. So I have those concerns, but additionally, in its current condition, we can't use it on the level that Selectman Wilson is suggesting. Because I'm not the only one like that, and then you have children who are
Oh, of course.
immunocompromised. So those are the items that
And
you have to think about.
those are all old buildings, fixable problems
Yeah,
that can be
that-
resolved.
Absolutely.
They don't have to be expensive to resolve them either.
I can tell you that the initial idea for tonight was to have a walkthrough. And then because, I mean, we go upstairs, this is a totally different building.
I understand.
And like,
I understand.
we had to forget that idea, and that's why actually, I have to thank Marshall Bishop for the pictures, that's why we took pictures, because we didn't feel comfortable bringing people upstairs.
That's why I mentioned Northampton, Centennial Hall
Right.
has been like that since 1950. And the plaza's falling down, it's, you know, all those issues. And they utilize the downstairs like this does, and now they're expanding upstairs because they need the space, and they've proven that they have programs. Now, if you clean this place up so you don't have an issue, so you can come in here, it's gonna be easier to rent for someone, and all those pieces.
It used to be really, like, I mean, it did get used a lot. The scouts used to meet here, there were exercise groups, there were, you know, a number of different organizations used the building for meetings years ago. And, you know, I think that if we really made an effort to just have the public be more aware of this as a space to be used, not just for contra dances and, you know, we do our summer programs, you know, I think that that's something that can be done, and I think the design charrette would be helpful in assessing the whole.
Even the heating system now, it got changed around with the two furnaces that crossed over between the police department and what's here. But none of the ductwork is sealed, and none of the ductwork is insulated. If you seal the ductwork, you save 15 to 25% on your heating bill. If you insulate it, you save between another 15 and 25% on the heating bill.
How is that?
It's just,
I mean, the heat is in the cellar. Any heat loss that you have is in the cellar to begin with.
You had distribution loss, as we was referring to.
you're trying to get, you're a heating guy.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure it out. Where you getting all these numbers? These are great numbers.
If you ever taken two pieces of pipe and connected together, or you're an elbow and shine a flashlight in, you can see the light come through. Because every time there's a space, it's actually where air cannot get through. And it goes through very quickly. You're trying to get the heat from the front of that furnace upstairs as fast as possible. And you also want to insulate the cold air return so it goes back as fast as possible. It's the highest temperature as possible. And this is, if you do that, that's what happens. New code call, any new building now, if you're following your code, has to have the ductwork sealed and insulated. That's for that reason, because it's a tremendous energy savings.
At the same time, you'd have to insulate and seal all the holes in the foundation, the stuff to bring the cold from coming in, because the low pressure is going to pull the cold air in, the high pressure is going to push it up to the roof. So by sealing the low pressure and the high pressure, you're going to stop that.
Yeah, and also you can do there's no reason why this, as I remember, unless things have changed in 8 years, we didn't find a lot of sill damage or anything like that. And we found the foundation being conditioned. I'm sure there are places that have holes, but that's just a matter of getting a masonry and do some water work. There's no reason why this basement has to be damp and musty. That can be dealt with just with clearing out the debris that's down there now, 6 or 8 inches going down, putting sand, putting probably a 6 mil or 4 mil poly cap on it, and putting gravel on top of that, or sand on top of that. That'll take care of that moisture issue completely. They do this at Strawberry Bank, where the water table is right there. And now they're having this issue now, where the water table is actually coming in the buildings, and flooding the buildings. And they're able to control the moisture there. I don't understand why I can't control it here and make this come.
I guess, you know what I've always asked, years ago, and I know this is years ago, but when the public had an issue or had a building that they want to fix up or would have to say volunteers came out, they did the work. Of course, they had a carpenter there that was certified and everything else, and they came out, they fixed it. It didn't cost hardly anything, but they won't do that today.
Problem is liability.
Well, I don't know.
I know.
It's just talk about threatening to take down a building that can get some people to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And I know that it seems like we're spending $14,000 a year plus some maintenance stuff, we're not getting that much revenue back. We can increase the revenue stream, but I don't remember, how do you guys remember the following fact? Unless it's changed this year, we were spending $40,000 plus at the dump to get rid of demolition debris, and we were only collecting $20,000. So we have a $20,000 piece we were giving the town of Gilman. I'd rather see you give $20,000 to this building than the dump.
It's a transfer station. And I will get back to you on that total number of everything.
Okay, yeah, and then about the, so sort of the psychology around people attending meetings, when years ago the selectmen had a group of us do a recycling assessment, to
Committee.
assess the facility. We had public input meetings for 18 months. No one ever showed up. We were in the academy every month for 18 months. No one ever showed up until we had our public hearing to give our findings to the selectmen. And everybody showed up, and the selectmen paid. They did not follow our recommendations, and, 18 months working, no one showing up, and then that one hearing, and the naysayers show up.
Well, we went through something like this for the past year and a half, fixing up the academy building. We even had people come and say, "What'd you pay it for? You don't need to pay it. You should have taken that money and put it on something else." You know what? That's the problem with a whole lot of the stuff, especially in the towns and everything, is you have to remember one important thing. And I'm here on this, this board. I have no friends. I'm here to work for the taxpayer, to do the best possible I can. And what it looks like to me, the past 10 years, somebody wasn't doing anything. They were actually worried about other things that they shouldn't have been, what they should not have been worried about. They should have been more worried about the infrastructure and fixing it and maintaining it and keeping it maintained. And that's what the problem is.
We had sub pump down here 8 years ago. It was very easy to understand how it happened. Because the pipe coming out of the sub pump ran right along the foundation. So the water just kept cycling back in all the time and just worked itself out.
That's right.
I mean, that's why we did this report back then, was to try to jumpstart the selectmen going at that time going forward, to spend money on maintenance and look at routine maintenance on each building. And they have spent a little money here, they've done some painting, and a few other little things, but not a lot over the years. The academy has got most of the attention because of everything that's happening in the academy. But I think that what's a good thing about this meeting is by you even talking about demolition, it's going to be really good for public interest now.
I bet you it was.
So you're really going to get input.
Good.
What do they have for a septic here?
It's a new one, 2010, 8,
Septic.
it's out there where the buses are, parked. And and we don't know a lot about it. I got to reach out because I did get a name of where we could look, but
We actually bought the land from next door.
from those people,
No, they were had from the Ironmans. We bought it from Jimmy Ironman. That's expanded, they would put the tank in, you can sit back, plants, all that kind of stuff.
but I didn't know, we didn't know what kind of chambers they were, right?
I don't know, it should be on the file somewhere.
Somewhere.
It's fairly recent, it's not that old.
Check it out.
Chair, I had talked to a bus driver out here, and I was taking all the pictures and everything, and I talked to her for just a little while, and she said, well, they were parking on the asphalt, and then she said, one afternoon, someone lately in this building
That was me,
came out and said, don't park there, park on the plant. So,
which I never said that.
I know, I go, who said it? And they didn't know.
Pouring rain, and I had elderly people coming in for a meeting, and I asked her to back up the bus, because people couldn't get in, because she was parked so forward. And, I was knocking on her door for 15 minutes in the pouring rain, so I was like, could you please move?
We're just
Or just not have the buses here?
Just not have the buses here. Just call the bus company, call the school and ask to call the bus company.
Park them at the school.
They're only doing it because Denise lives across the street, and it's easier for her to come and get her
Wow.
bus here than drive.
So she walks over and gets the bus. I get it.
So that's it.
That's why
And
they're
the
here.
other one is a friend of hers that wants to park in here, and it's easier to get to. So, there's two buses. There's the little bus and the big bus.
So that, the answer to that is for the town to say to the bus company, get your buses out of here.
Or don't park on the leach field, there's plenty of room on the parking.
Well, the other problem that raises is when there are events here, sometimes the buses take the parking spaces.
Well, that's what I mean, that was
So
our
that's-
last presentation, and it was like, people were like, I can't get.
Park them at the neighbors.
I can't get
Find
in.
another spot.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine you just talk to the person that's
You're not
parking,
that
probably.
smart as you live.
But I tell you,
It was a discussion that the prior town administrator had with the individual.
Okay.
all right.
Um,
Well, this was a good input.
I just want to speak as a resident. My biggest thing that I see in this town for all projects and almost all departments in every town facet is there is such lack of forecasting for anything. Anything, forecasting.
Forecasting,
So if you
yeah.
want, where are we gonna go as a town? In a 2-year increment, 5-year increment, 10-year increment. I've been here for 10 years, and even the end of the CIP issue, I mean, it's astounding to me that we don't want to forecast out appropriately for these items. On my job side, I would like to see more forecasting in roads. It's one of our biggest budgets. We don't have a forecasted plan. These are the items that I see working that are an issue, but also on the town side, we don't get enough public input to say, where do we want the town to go? I personally want more business. I don't want it to run amok. I don't want it to lose the aesthetic value, and that's what drew me to Gilmington, was the aesthetic value of the community. And we lack the ability to seemingly get a plan together, not just on the town side, as residents of what we want. We're very divided, we're very divisive. It seems like we have little sets and groups, and that's it. And it's really frustrating when you do want to get a project done. I was fortunate enough to have my eyes open when the year-round library came into play, and that was awesome to see how many people pulled together for that. I'm a big proponent of that library. I think it's great for the community, but we need to do that across the board. Officials need to do it, and residents need to do it. But
Well, that's great. That's what we tried, that's why I have a CIP, and that's why it worked all these years, and then
I understand.
a group of selectmen came in and said, no, we're not doing it anymore.
Right.
I know.
So
Come get, when you want to buy something, come get, take it out of my wallet then. That's what we heard, and so that's what happened. Now it's become decisive, the this and all that, that's because of that.
And part of it, I think, when even on the budget side of things, when I've been in this position, 2.5 years now, what I see the pull when departments come for budget season or the selectmen are trying to formulate a budget, you don't want to ask for too much, but you don't want to ask for too little, and what's the balance? Because as soon as you get in that conversation, well, do you really need that? Do you really need this? You know, it's very nitpicky thing, so you try to balance it for what the taxpayers can afford, but based on need as well. And when you have too many needs, at what point does the resident go, I don't want that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my perspective from
Well, I think the biggest thing is your elected officials, they need to have the foresight to look at all this stuff, you know, to be able to say, what do we want to do, where do we want to be? And a lot of times that just doesn't happen, so.
Okay. I think this was a productive first one.
So is there going to be another one scheduled soon, or like, how are you guys gonna, what's your next step in terms of?
I would say we need another one.
We ever do.
Maybe sometime next year,
Why don't we-
February, after we get through
I forget, I
budget season.
didn't catch your name.
Well, what are we gonna,
Patrick, I think
February
your
for next year?
presentation mentioned
This coming
having
February?
additional meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
I think we ought to
So I think that's probably where we need to go with some good advertising.
Well,
to get people-
yeah.
I think we should probably look at maybe putting a warrant article.
That's what we need to know
get
that long
something-
before that.
Something in the budget for this next year for the building.
Agreed, but what's the cutoff date on warrant articles? End of January or something? I know we have time, but we need to have input.
But even if we were
What is
put
it?
some type of budget in for the paint and maybe windows, it doesn't have to be the whole entire package, but we
I
need
know we have
something.
time. What is the cutoff date?
Yeah, we need to get started.
The 8th of...
What do we paint and windows upstairs?
You're not gonna get this problem resolved this year's budget.
I get that, but we have $5,000, but in order to continue renting it out, that $5,000's gotta go to safety stuff here first.
I understand about fixing the windows that are falling out. I don't think the windows falling out are that big a problem. I would do the life safety issues with the garage.
We have to.
Yeah, I know, but I would do the life safety issues with the garage bars on. Do the exits. I mean, you've got some money, if you can't spend it this year, you can encumber it for next year. I don't think you need a lot of money to fix what I think would be what needs to be dealt with, to deal with the basement area, so that Heather and everybody else who's maybe allergic wouldn't have that problem. And I think you can deal with the heating system, you can at least seal the ductwork.
I mean, would you be interested in getting some numbers for us, Steve?
I think we did. I think that we could come up with some numbers to get you through to the next point, whether it would probably be an L-chip grant. An L-chip grant has to be done by June. You won't know about it until after Thanksgiving, 2019. So you
Well,
won't be able to do a project until the following year after that.
I think the biggest point is like Mr. Wilson says, we really need to put in, a warrant article just for this year to get the maintenance up on it and to do this, and then we have a year to start putting something together.
If I'm wrong, I believe he's saying is, get some budget numbers together and then go for the L-chip grant, then put the warrant article together. Is that what I hear you saying, sir?
Yeah, what you do is you put the warrant article together, like we've done in the past. I think the Academy of Football was that, if you don't receive, if the town votes no on this warrant article, you don't receive the L-chip money, you obviously don't spend anything. I mean, just some kind of basis by, you get people encouraged to vote for it, and then, but the L-chip money has to come through to be able to spend it. I mean, those types of, you work it somehow that way. That's what we always done in the past.
How
So
much,
you're, go ahead.
how much was the assessment that, Mrs. Baldwin was talking about initially in her?
It was originally, I think there was a $6,000 fee, but I don't know, that's a couple years old, so I don't know.
That was the numbers that we got at the last
Did
meeting.
she give you a copy of the document?
So yes,
No.
I have via email, but maybe
You know,
the warrant
they won't
article
let
could
the
address
John
the
Davis.
assessment.
Yeah, you can get
Yeah,
it.
no,
I'm
the
pretty
price,
comfortable that you can get this.
outside, $64,000. Take care of it.
That's something you could get done probably within a couple of months.
$50 to fix the sidewalk.
At least start.
But we need to get the warrant article in though, so, but that's kind of pushing it.
I think we can get, if we get a couple of people to go through, and I can be one of those people, we come up with a number that's reasonable. We're not talking about painting anything right now. We're not worried about that.
We just want to get it up to
We're
code.
just getting up to code and make sure the windows don't fall out of the ground.
Is there even a current assessment of first lead projects or categorizing of what we, just the 2010
That
report?
was just report.
So that's as far back, that's sort of the.
Okay, the heat's on.
The building inspector came in and he did a walkthrough, and the building inspector pointed out that the ADA ramp was not up to code. We need crash bars in both these doors and lighted exit signs. Those are
Oh,
the
I see what you have.
primary life safety things.
Yeah.
And one of my concerns is that they're having a contradictions in here. We have these great grills over here that are beautiful.
Yeah.
But if someone in a high heel gets their heel caught in there, breaks an ankle, there's liability. And those different things that we're trying to figure out what we can do to eliminate that, and maybe just putting a plant over during the dance might eliminate that. But,
Great.
we want to see people use the building, we don't want to see a liability either.
That's a great concern, but I haven't seen a pair of high heels in here all the time.
I'm not saying.
No, but we don't see anything in that area.
Typically, when you have, you do have some latitude with the building inspector or the state fire marshal, you can set some very extreme life safety code issues because it's an old structure and doesn't meet requirements for that. They're on the state register. And you have some flexibility. Most of the time, they wouldn't fail you for having this current just needs to be upgraded.
Yeah.
Say, I'm gonna use this ramp for now, but I want to upgrade it in a year or two, and they say, fine, it's here, it works.
It does
It's
work.
time.
Well, the
Yeah,
issue
it's a lot.
with the ramp is the obvious condition of it and the setup of it. But this building, I don't like to use the term ADA compliant because this whole building is not ADA compliant. And we don't need to make it unless we start using it for public meetings that are required to be publicly accessible. And that's when you have to consider. When we rent it out for private functions, we don't have to adhere to the ADA compliance really at all, because you have to make the person renting it understand that this is not an ADA compliant because of the existing structure, because it's long-standing. So it's not that we're trying to bring it up to ADA compliance, because this whole building would not fall under that. And those are federal
Right,
standards.
but what you're trying to do, because you're calling it, because it is a public building, and we intend to use it, we hope to use it more for public, as in for instance, the Historical Society has 6 meetings, whatever it is here, and they use this door to bring people up that. It's a public use.
Right, of course, but that's a private entity, the Historical Society. If we were to hold meetings here as a town, we'd have to be compliant.
And you can make this one compliant. You can make it compliant.
Well, not from the driveway side, not from the street side, to make it compliant, it has to be accessible. If a person of handicap had handicap issues and they were coming from the back and parking, the accessibility of this building only through that door is actually not compliant.
On this level,
On this level.
you have accessibility down the downstairs level, right?
No, because there's only stairs coming up. There's
Is there a
no,
ramp out front?
No, there's a ramp to the
But
historical
it just gets
society.
you into the museum,
No, I'm saying, get you in
and then you can't get up here
right.
unless you go outside.
Right.
You have, so like, anybody who's handicapped, well, my father-in-law, Carolyn drops him off,
Yep.
so that's a traffic issue.
Yep.
The sidewalk is horrible.
Yep.
Too high.
That's the worst part,
Yep.
trying to get a wheelchair across that sidewalk. And then once we get to the ramp, so you have to go almost
So
all the
we
way
put
around the
a
building to
sidewalk
access
and
the
a
ramp.
ramp from the parking lot back here over right around this corner of the
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
That's-
There are ways of dealing with this. It's
Right.
not all nothing.
It's just as it exists now, it's not considered.
We should have gone from that.
But there are, I can tell you, there are so many, right now, I'm saying that about Centennial Hall. Because you have to climb up 17 steps to get into the building.
No, I understand what you're saying.
And yet,
Isn't
it's
there a
still
ramp up
utilized
on
by
that?
the town.
Isn't there a ramp over by Joe's Meat Shop on that? There's a ramp that comes up one side, there's stairs going on the other side, isn't it? Am I thinking of the wrong building?
Yeah, you're wrong, this is the one on corner 111, A, which is Post Road,
Yep.
and whatever it is, the prosecutors. There is no ramp on the side of the front, it's just a back stairway. The front door is unutilized.
Okay. There's no
Okay.
problem with the police department, so I'm thinking of the town hall.
Not town hall, this is,
I think I'm gonna,
Can I just make a suggestion as I came in late? The reason I came in late, I stood in front of, I heard through the grapevine this weekend that there was going to be a meeting talking about this building today. So I wanted to make sure I saw and noticed or whatever. So I went to the post office and I read that notice at least twice, 3 times. Is it going to be at the Ironworks or the Academy? And I went the other way. Just clarity on the,
I thought it said at the top, it
It
said
says
Old Town Hall.
Old Town.
Old Town Hall.
it just didn't say it was at the Ironworks.
Well, that's
You
town
know.
hall, old town hall.
You know,
No, so there was an
Alright.
address
Oh,
on
I
it as
saw.
well.
Okay, so this is the Board of Selectmen meeting, haven't been there for quite a few months. It says to me, Old Town Hall Building Agenda. So to me, I thought it was on the agenda. I'm a pretty well-read person when it comes to notices. I didn't get it, so let's make it a little clearer, maybe is my point.
okay.
I
We
didn't
will the
go
next
on-
time, but
I
we
didn't
just-
go on that.
Make sure.
But if you want to see more people come, that's kind of how you get them.
Yeah, the last thing I, the next discussion we do is it's gonna look like a nice looking building. I mean, maybe it needs to be painted now, maybe it needs to have some things done, but it's basically a nice looking building. If you sell to someone else, you cannot control what's gonna look like. And you have buildings in the ironworks that aren't cleaned up and they look awful, and it's terrible, it's definitely, gotta reduce what their.
But let's stay on topic. This here is what we're talking about. We're not talking about other
I'm
people.
saying you have to stay on top of, that is one reason. why
We
you
do
don't
have control over that.
So you have control of that.
I have control over that. We have control over that. If what you're referring to.
Okay, I mean, that's fine.
I mean, point taken. Point taken. I get what you're saying.
If you don't control one place, you can't expect the people who live here to control this place.
Well, if I turned it over to ownership, I would expect not to have control over it. I mean, it wouldn't make sense that if we changed ownership, that I would have control over it. So, or we would have.
You can, if you were to go down that road, you can put preservation easements
Well,
on the building such that the exterior can't be changed, only the interior can be changed. You can even put some easements on the interior pieces. Generally speaking, though, that's on the exterior of the building.
So like the corners.
right. Okay. I thank everybody. You know, we'll do this again.
Thank you for being open-minded.
Yes. Lori, how do I get your answers
What
to
did
you?
I ask you?
Money, total money, or what it cost for this building.
For the, oh yeah, so it's I just was curious to see what the budget was for, I mean, how much you guys are spending to maintain the
Right.
building.
Yeah, I just need to know how to get that information to you.
Oh, okay, here, let me just write it down because I have an odd email.
Thank you.
Thank you. Call us when you get home safely.
Just stand by the window, I'll flash my kitchen lights.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Don't forget to close downstairs.
I won't. I set the alarm. I came in the other day, I came in Saturday for my shift, and the last person in had an RD system. It was like,
I think that was me. Maybe that was me. I came in there and everything, I'm getting.
All right.
that's all right. Nobody,
It was me.
All right. Well, we're gonna.
that's all right.
Thank you. We're gonna get right to consent agenda.
I just wasn't used to it.
Oh, yeah, and then you you get nervous because it's ringing and,
They've been serviced.
I'm innocent.
I know.
yeah, and they're
They service
fast,
them
and then the
once a
phone
year,
will
right?
ring
I
from
don't know.
security
Usually the
company.
filter and furnace, like a HEPA.
So,
Oh,
it does
change
work.
Once a month.
It works good too.
That's once a month, and that's why people could be having problems with allergies because.
It's more than that, though. I think, Steve.
Well, no, I think the basement needs to be.
I close.
You know what?
All right.
Take all the pictures and everything, it's really not that bad. It just needs, all that stuff needs to be gathered up, taken out of there.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, thanks, Steve.
Yes, thank you.
I still want my floors fixed.
All right, so we've got two things. One is
Which floor?
If I have the ones that
No,
you said, look at the giant gaps.
We'll take care of it, Lori, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll take care of the chairs.
All right.
We'll take care of it.
Routine, I'm always.
You're just used to it.
Yeah, all right, so you guys are gonna exit out this way?
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
All right, have a good evening, thank
Give it all,
you.
you too.
What was this one?
We can consent agenda, we just want to vote to open it.
Chairman?
What?
We just want to make a motion to open your consent agenda.
I make a motion to open this consent agenda.
I second that.
Favor?
Aye.
So this is PD departments under the CCS contract replacing 3, I think,
Yep.
computers. So it's budgeted, it's in the budget. If you recall, actually, we'll go through that in the budget discussion. They had 14,300 and something in the line. 9,000 is the annual support contract, and the 5,800 was the replacement of computers, which he wanted to do this year. That's why he's putting the computer in.
This is what he planned on spending by the end of this year, and then his budget request was for 2019.
He signed it in the wrong place.
Yes, I made a little error.
I used to sign it. Some effort.
And what did he have in that line? Didn't he already spend some out of that?
He has the money.
Did Brenda put out expenditures to everyone?
Yeah, but I didn't bring it.
It's the 29th of November. So,
What line is it?
370.
yes, line 370, he has,
9,000 something?
yes, 9,300, no, he
No.
spent 9,320, he has 5635 remaining, so
So he doesn't have enough.
He's missing 200 bucks.
Well, I don't,
And then the other one, if I were
so where's he gonna take the money from? A burn.
Yes, that
A
was good.
burn. Does he know?
Yeah, so
I mean, he's got
he
a
didn't
bunch
say
of
that.
monies he's gotta come up with here.
Yes. It's $200, isn't it? Like you said?
Right,
Yeah.
but,
This is correct, it's down to 113,000.
Well, the good thing is the way the budget runs down, the way Brenda takes money out, the line will show the $200 that it's lacking, and then
right,
we can find out.
always run it over.
Yeah.
Never do we not overrun the line. If they overrun the line, they overrun the line.
Yes.
That's fine, we can deal with that.
Right.
But we don't want to take monies from another place and then all of a sudden look like, that line is good where it is. You want to run that line over so you know.
Right. For budget track purposes. I missed it.
Well, I guess.
We need to shut out storm windows in here too.
Say that?
All the storm windows in here are open.
So they weren't. They were brought down by John W. and there was an event, so got hot, and put them all up. That's another issue. And John was on like free to do it on his own accord because he was waiting to meet someone here. Now, normally we pay maintenance to do all that. Sometimes it requires a blowtorch.
So maybe we need to continue keeping our numbers where they should be, that way we can pay someone to come back by here instead of giving discount rates if they are gonna leave stuff open.
I make a motion that we approve consent agenda. All in favor? Patrick?
All right, whole business, the town clerk window project, so, we had like a fear, and this has been resolved, so we're getting the windows, and it's going to happen on the 14th and the 17th, so.
Yeah.
When this was written, it wasn't sure yet that we were gonna be able to fix it, so,
What was wrong?
The glass.
the glass was gonna take like longer
Oh.
than expected, and then so we
Okay,
have
so
to
that's,
deal with holes in the walls. for
No,
a
that-
while.
yeah,
So that's resolved.
thank you, Marshall.
Thank you, Marcia. Yes.
I don't think Selectman Wilson, he was only here for the bottom half of the conversation.
It was 6 weeks out on the glass, and Marshall called down to Concord and ordered it, and we'll have it in, 6 days or something?
Yeah.
It's been ordered.
Awesome.
And JR is gonna install it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then we fixed the blinds too. It was in the beginning, it was like safety blinds or something, and no, it's just regular blinds, maybe wooden ones if they want, or just something that you can close or pull up, is what's going on there. If they're gonna get in that room, they're gonna get in that room. There's no little blind that's gonna stop it. All right. Select board items, you got budget discussion.
Yes, so
I
it's,
thought-
it's just like, so to speak, cleaning up. So you have the number of documents. There are some budget that like the board should officially approve for some changes. And then we can talk about like a couple of warrant articles also that like pending your approval. So let's start with the budgets. The first one is, so let's start with the PD department. Which is 4210. So the first item that we have to discuss is line 390, the professional prosecuting services. The board had initially recommended 9,000 instead of 9,500. This is an annual contract, and it's a fixed fee regardless of how much work is being done under the contract.
Do we have a, can we ask them how much work they've actually done for us? Like how many cases have they prosecuted or something? For like the past 2 years?
So again, the discussion is 9,500 contract regardless of cases.
So they're take it or leave it is what they're saying.
Yes.
Well, so we can surely ask what we're getting for.
All right, pay the 95, but I'd like to know. If they says take it or leave it, fine. I think they got us over the
I
barrel.
think you have a fair question in terms of like, so what are we getting for $9,000?
Yeah, just how many cases, what has the prosecutor done, Dave Estes, for the $9,000, and he's gotten a raise every year.
So do we go directly to that person, or
So,
do we
so
go for the fee?
their fees are set by the board that he works for. So he works for the town of Belmont. The board of selectmen in that town have set those fees. He has not personally set those fees.
So you just go to the Board of Selectmen.
But like, my question is more like, with the current environment, can I go to the PD and ask for details of prosecuting services that fell into this?
So I don't know, you should be able to ask any question your little heart desires, honestly. But I don't know how they bill because it's contracted. I don't know what they receive. I've not seen items.
I don't know.
And what is better, to go to the
I would just sit there and fire a email to the town administrator, and the town administrator will be able to help you out.
Well, you can honestly go to the chief of police first and say, you know, I understand this is a contracted position. Do you have itemized listings of what we receive for his services? And then if he does not have that information, then by all means go to the town of Belmont.
Okay.
I need to make a motion to approve that 9,500.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the 9,500 for line 390, 4210 390. Do I have a second?
I second that.
On favor?
All right, the line just above is the 370, the computer expenses, so that's what we talked about. The 9120 is basically the annual support, customer support fee from CCS under the contract. So initially it had 14,955. The difference is what you just signed on the PO.
Minus the 200. Okay.
All right, so.
Is that it for 4210?
No, there's just, I want to highlight that line 110, no, line, I'm sorry.
Well, you're just looking at it.
119?
Yeah, hang on just 1 second. You're just looking at it. You got an actual of 86, on line 635, you got an actual of $8,645. And you got 15 grand in the budget.
That's a default budget.
No.
2019 default.
Huh?
It says 2019 default budget.
That might be.
You went
But there's
down-
still budget 18.
Yeah.
Budget 18's got 15 grand, and it's still got, you know, $6,000 or $7,000 now.
That's line 119, you said?
635.
Fuel. 635. Gasoline. So the comment is that like in actual expenses is way under the budget.
Okay, and now you're at one,
So I'm on 119. If you recall, we discussed that. I just want to confirm. So, and you had approved that, or you had recommended the 1300.
it's because he didn't have it, right? It wasn't written down.
So he's apparently decided not to outsource animal control. So that's why your 1300 are here. And then we're done with police department, but like the separate animal control budget, we're back also at 500 instead of 0 because again, he's not outsourcing.
Did you get a phone?
I'm sorry?
Did the animal control officer get a phone?
I thought so.
Because we only bought 5.
We only have 3 offices right now.
Okay. You want to keep track of our phones?
His own,
We have them or not.
yeah, has his own telephone number.
I thought that 500 was a stipend.
So just for the record, can you?
Yep, 1300. Line 4210 119.
Okay. So,
1300 bucks.
so we're done with police department. Animal control is probably the easiest to deal with. So the budget 4414, that should be at the end of the.
4414?
Well, what do you,
Last page.
did we got something to do
should
in
be
the
last
fire
page.
department?
I'm sorry?
Do we have something in the fire department?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So we're gonna jump around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I'm trying to go through the simple stuff first.
Right.
He's taking after you.
So we move on.
500 bucks.
So $500, yes.
All right, so good. Line 4414 800. It's $500 revised 2019 budget. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Alright, so let's go to the fire department, which should be fairly
Let's
easy
go
too.
back.
So budget 4220,
4220
yes.
line.
So there's no change to the bottom line, but the fire chief has requested that line 191, which shows $500 right now, which is for forest fires, be eliminated and the $500 be moved to line 190 from 37,500 to 38,000.
No.
Why not?
Why? Because I mean, he's already got. We've already given him 37.5. You know. All right. How about the question is why? That would be the important question. Why would you bump it? Yeah. Why would you do it? Not why not. Why? Can you answer that, Marshall?
No, but, forest fires. So he doesn't,
So he doesn't want any.
anything.
Well, he didn't ask for any. I don't know how. What did we put that in there after? Patrick, how did the 500 get in there?
Yeah, it's like, it's apparently a recurring budget line that he never uses, so he's decided to get rid of it and then re-affect the.
But he didn't ask for 500. How did we put 500 in it? He asked for 0. So my question is, how did 500 get put on?
Didn't they have a forest fire this year? They went out?
I thought so.
Well, just
So on finance end, it's really a housekeeping measure. It's all considered, in her mind, it's all considered wages. So you have wages for forest fire, and then right above it, you have wages on call, which is usually the responders to the forest fires.
So there's really no difference, it's just taking the line item away, moving it like he wants, and giving the other 500 in that line.
No, so I'm sorry, but what you're looking at,
I know that his actual was 33,000. And his $33,000 in 18, actual.
The year's not over either.
Okay, he's still got $4,500.
There's 1 month left, so.
Less than 1 month. Today's the 10th, right? You got 20 days,
Yeah, but-
21 days.
But the actual is as of 11/29.
So he just wants to.
Mine's 12.5.
Combine those two, that's
Yeah,
all.
he wants to do away with the 191,
Yeah, just
move
put
the
it
money
up
to
there.
190.
And why don't you just take the money out? I mean, why just, I mean, this isn't a situation where,
It's $500.
I
mean,
know,
you
but-
budget either way. To me, I'm fine with that. I make a motion to move line 191, do away with it, and move the $500 funds to line 190.
so he doesn't want to he wants to do away with line 191?
That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like, so it's just gonna come out of two.
Request to move 190.
You make that motion?
Call wages.
I made the motion, yes.
Let's do it.
We'll say I second, and
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
All right, that's it for fire department. And then the last one is transfer station.
That's our favorite.
Our favorite. So, 2 things here. I believe the board had already approved online 430 repair and maintenance building moving from 3,000 to 5,000.
Yep.
So the only discussion left is our favorite discussion, the seasonal position. So we gotta go one way or the other on this one.
Well, I think the first thing you gotta do is, if you're gonna do that, then I think it's fair to everybody, is to put it back out to bid again. You just don't take somebody, that's seasonal help. I mean, you're talking about wanting to make this one full-time, part-time. That's what he's talking about?
Right.
It's gotta go out to bid first. I think, let it, advertise it, and we'll go from there.
So how do we make sure that it's like a true
So put it in the budget.
bid?
What do you mean true bid?
Well, I mean, you can,
Well, you can't, the person's time is up at the transfer station.
right.
Okay, that person actually shouldn't be there now. I know that he has purview within his budget, but what I don't know is, does he have purview within keeping an employee beyond its means?
Right.
Well, and that's what's happening.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Well, I know you don't.
No, I don't, you know what?
No,
What we
it
have to
doesn't.
look
What we have
at,
to look at is, he has budgetary confinements.
I know,
He
he
has
does.
the money in his budget, yes. But do you think that he can go ahead and hang on to an employee after the time is up, after that line is spent?
it just depends on what we want.
Was it-
Because the biggest thing is keeping what he has accomplished.
I get that, I know, but we just made him full-time. What, are we just gonna start pouring it in there?
No.
We just made him a full-time employee.
So can I have some clarifications on this particular topic? When we went through the first round of approvals and discussions, and I believe it was at the November 5th meeting, the board had the understanding that they weren't going to extend the position. They were only going to full, as Steve calls it, full-time, part-time. But the intention was to give extra money in the budget the following year.
The following year.
Right, so is the board's intention based on the information you received from the department head in any way sway your position on the original thought process that you had in that meeting and what you went forward on the budget process with?
I don't think so. I think the biggest thing is, if we could, how I look at it. As a selectman and as everything else, he's done a great job there. All right, if we abuse that position, is the work gonna continue like it has, or is it gonna fall, back again because he doesn't have the people to do what he has to do? So, and, that's what we have to look at. Now, is it gonna cost us any more? Can we take the monies and
Yes, I
move
mean,
it?
you have like the breakdown there, and if I recall, we were talking about $15,000.
Additional?
What,
The-
Total.
I mean,
Total,
total, yes. The, so, what happened is that like he had like one person on vacation, the other one sick, and then he was left alone, so.
And see, that
he
those
was-
situations, I personally, I don't know how the other selectmen feel, don't have a problem with him having Arthur on call, because he's not paying the wages to the other people, so it's not hurting his budget. And maybe we could make it on call or fill in, that way he has the adequate staffing he needs when someone's sick or someone's on vacation. But if,
The other issue with that is you have to think, so this individual has taken his position on, seasonally to fill the gap in the mindset of having a job. Now if we keep her or this individual on call, she doesn't have the opportunity to be flexible with another part-time position. So you don't want to hamper.
I understand that.
I just, if this was ever controversial, I mean, we got, it's 25 hours, where is wages attended buyout? This is
I
the one
don't, disagree with anything, but,
No, I'm just saying that this was hired as a seasonal position and it needs to go back out to bid. Maybe because now it's a full-time position. We only had one applicant before, then everybody can reapply for it again. But I really don't think that person should be working in now after that line is done.
I'm sorry, was the request, and maybe I missed it, was the request a part-time, like a regular part-time position, or was it full-time? I keep hearing full-time, so I'm getting.
No, it's a seasonal position is what is,
It was.
what we went out.
But the request from the,
Department head is it's a full-time, part-time, or whatever you wanna call it.
Year round.
just as long
Year
as.
round. Year-round, part-time.
Thank you.
Which is a big step. And if we do that, then I don't think it's fair to the people, maybe, people didn't want it because it was a seasonal job, nobody wants it, but if it's a, year-round part-time, then maybe we'd get more applicants. I think it's worth looking at.
it is.
So, but you
We can
would,
fund it,
you would have.
maybe that doesn't mean we have to have it. Fund it. Fund it for your $14,765 and, no, 14,000, wait a minute, 12, I know, $14,765.40. Is that FICA and everything, or is that just the base? So is this gonna?
No, that includes, you got all the details.
I don't, budget needed, average,
So as a part-time, like, there's no,
there's FICA and stuff like that.
like, you know,
So are those lines, that's considered in it?
look all here, it's,
Or are we changing some lines? It is inadequate. It
The
doesn't,
original was 7569, so it was the actual for 2018 in that person.
okay, one step.
Seasonal position.
52 as, it's not here, Patrick. The rest of it.
So, how much longer does,
She should have been done 3 weeks ago.
but, she's not though, so.
No,
no, she's not.
and she needs to be, because that's what we said. The line has been spent for, and then put it out to bid or something, and then we'll see from what goes from there. But not,
We're essentially doubling the line item.
right,
Right.
That's
so you,
pretty good,
Just for process sake, because the situation is a little different this time around for this season, we have line just going backwards, and you don't have to address it right now, but she doesn't have a motion for, line 370, and I think that was under PD, and I don't have physical motion for.
370 and police?
I believe so, and 319.
All right, and 390?
What?
Not 319.
No, I'm
No,
sorry,
319.
it's 119, yeah.
So
190.
370 is CCS for 9120 under the police department.
So you want a motion for line 4210, 370 to move it?
Just approve it.
Well, what did we do? I'm gonna say what we did to it.
9,110.
It stays the same. I mean, we didn't, why is that a motion for that? It's the same.
Okay, you hadn't officially approved.
All right, I make a motion to approve from 4210, 370 for $99,120. Second?
Second.
Favor? Aye.
In line 119.
110 into 4210?
Yes. 119.
119.
It's the animal control.
119, we did that one. You have a motion for 119, right?
I don't.
You should. I make a motion for line 4210, 119 to approve it for $1,300. Second?
Second.
Favor? Aye. Any other ones missing? Got them? Good.
Well, so the transfer station, what do we do with 112? Yes.
I recommend that we keep that position until the first of the year. Give it through this month, and then terminate that.
Where are you going to get the money? You got the money? You find it?
I thought you already had the money for it.
No, we don't. I don't. I haven't looked.
Where did he get it?
I don't know. But the thing about it is, Marshall, is you don't go find money to keep an employee that.
Okay, well, it's not terminated.
That should have been 3 weeks ago. I mean, they're over that line by what now, Patrick?
So this one, budget is 69 is at 76.
So they're over by $900.
Did we have an extra when the fireman passed away? Because he was seasonal, wasn't he?
He was a seasonal help and he went away.
Okay, he went away. Yeah, so.
It's not fair. If we did that, we hired it as a seasonal position. If we go ahead and change it, then put it back out to bid. I think that she should not be there, and then put it out to bid. I'll fund it. I'll fund it. I'll approve to fund it. But I want to see it done on and up and up. Everybody's thoughts? Fund it. You got funding for 14,000.
765.
Is that the same amount of hours?
Yeah, that's what he's, in the second page here, he's got it broken down for you.
Well, that's from him?
Yes.
That's not his writing there, down the bottom.
It doesn't look like yours anyway.
Huh, no, I can read this one. So why 14,000 and why is everybody else at like 20? I know that the pay grades are different, but that's
No,
not
it's
that
not,
much.
number one is at 16, and number 3 is at 16. So,
Yeah, there's a step, and then there's 5 hours difference.
There's department head request. It's $20,576. And then you got somebody starting, I mean, did they get that many steps all at once? Grade 1, step 2, grade 1, step 1, and it's at 14,000, like 15 grand. Why is there $5,500 difference? It's not that in a one-step pay raise. Why is that?
You have 5 hours difference per week.
36, 30.
Line 111 is 30 hours per week. Line 112 is 25 hours per week.
Well, I'd say, all right, fine, okay, there's the difference. I don't know why they would have a year-round part-time and have it 5 hours
it
less.
wouldn't be a seasonal, it would just be another part-time position it would be going to.
At 5 hours less than everybody else.
And I think here it says it's 22 and a half hours on this one. It would be so.
But there's two separate numbers there. Yeah, 22 and a half, and this is a different, oh, that's a different pay. grade. That's one more step. Grade 1, step 1. No, I think it's, it needs to go out to bid. It needs to go out and put an ad in the paper and run it. It's the right thing to do.
So you recommend it, but
I recommend the budget of $14,765.40. Online, 119, 4324, line 112 for 14, giving the shop away.
I got a question before we,
Yeah.
I don't need another emotion. How many hours a week is the dump actually open?
Transfer station.
Transfer dump, so you-
Yeah, no, it was on
I
the
don't know
thing.
if
You
I'm
got,
saying,
you got
but yeah, we're getting some
8 by
answers.
5, 10, 20 hours.
Okay, so I would,
I think, no, 12, 22 or something? 22 hours. It's 12 hours on Wednesday, and then 5 and 5. 22. The transfer station is
all
open.
day on Sunday, right?
No, half day Saturday, half day Sunday, and all day Wednesday. 7 to 7.
it's not open all day Sunday.
I know.
It's the most people at home.
Well, I don't, how long ago?
What, do a half day, do a half day
Change over
Wednesday, and
the,
Have to
do an all day Sunday?
That's what I would call for Saturday all day.
Doing a half day Wednesday and do all day Sunday. I wonder if that'll be
Saturday,
up.
to me, that's when people are around more.
Sunday.
But they're busy on Wednesdays too, man.
Sunday's
Yeah,
from 10
that's
to
when
6
people
or
get used to
something.
it. They don't,
It's-
like,
it's
who
a-
wants to fight it in the weekend?
The Saturday is from only opens till 1. But Sunday it's from 10 to 6. It's the longest day because that's the day I usually go because as you said, that Sunday is like
So my only question would be, or recommendation maybe would be, if we're only open 22 hours and we're gonna make another position, maybe it's only that position's for those 22 hours that we're open.
That's what that is. 22 and a half hours. That's the numbers I threw out there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think-
Great.
Okay.
When you close. Motion on line 112, 4324, 112. Put in the budget $14,765.40. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right? You good? All right?
Yeah, if he needs it.
But it goes out to bid.
I did want to ask something. How long ago did they decide to take what revenue we get from the transfer station and put it back into the general fund? And
what do they
why
do?
they do that for?
What was that again, Marshall?
Whatever the transfer station makes, they don't get it. It goes back into the general fund. It would seem to me that it would be more cost effective that we keep it in with the transfer station.
It just did go back.
It did?
Yeah, we just gave them another $8,000.
No, but whatever they make off of it.
Yeah, but we make that, but we lose in other areas. When we're losing in demolition,
Why?
because we don't get the prices, we don't have scales.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
We do need a scale. We need a small scale or something like that. But have you ever seen them go out there and do it? It's really bad. It's really bad.
It's just eyeball. They're supposed to have one person look at the load and say how much, so we have a consistency of how much we're charging.
The problem is, to a certain point, is sheetrock's denser than wood, and if you stack it, it's
I
much
know it,
smaller,
yeah,
and
I know.
you can have a heavier load, so you need, that's why weight is the better way to do it.
Oh, agreed.
It is,
But, scales,
But you can
and you
also
need a flat
say.
area, pavement.
But you can also say a pickup load this big, whether you got one board in there, or you have anything, is this much. So it would make sure that the taxpayer will make sure that they have a load.
How much are we down on a demo? I heard someone say
Half.
Okay, yeah,
That's budget committee.
half is bad.
So then we just need to.
40,000, 20,000. Right, do something, you need to look at it.
Yeah, add 30%, that's what we need to do
Yeah.
to the cost.
All right. We're done with budget.
I am.
I am.
Let's move to warrant articles quickly. So it's just things that have been discussed before, but we just need to to get like motions so that it's official.
How many, list them out for me.
So if you look, let's try to stick to the
Is that what we're going through?
summary spreadsheet. So we only need to address the pending ones. The first one we don't need to. We're still waiting to get like the final
Okay, number 4.
budget number to raise an appropriate year. Yeah. So right now we're around 4 million, but like the number is changing. So
No, it could be end up being just 2, like 7.
yeah, but I mean,
It might not even be 2.
I don't have a number for you now, so we don't need to discuss that. That's what
But
saying.
I'm just giving it a heads up that it might come in less.
So let's go to number 11. So this is the fire department asking to raise an appropriate $5,000 for vehicle repairs in the non-capped reserve fund.
That got changed, right? Didn't that say something else?
It says computers, which actually the computer comes later, but yes, I had it wrongly titled.
You had it wrong, Carter. Okay, you need a motion of number 11?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve number 11, so said. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right, the next one, well, let's do number 19 first. So,
What is it with you bouncing back and forth, Patrick?
because,
You're confusing me.
I want to go through the ones that should not require too much discussion. So number 19, so this is for 10 computer replacement across the board. It's just like to raise funds in the non-capital reserve funds in case we need to replace computers. So that's 5,000.
No, I make a motion that we approve Article 19 as written. I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Next-
22, simple.
Let's go to 22. Initially we had a request for 30,000. It turns out that because he had to replace the skid steer recently, there's I believe $3,000 left. So he's trying to rebuild the capital reserve fund for the purpose of the new baler eventually. So he's back to his initial request of 50,000 instead of 30.
I make a motion to approve Article 22 as written. I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Alright, the last one, 15. Ironworks Fire Station roof. So, we discussed this at the last meeting. We had asked if he had a bid on hand for his request of 30,000, which he does. I don't know if he has more than one, but if this is approved.
Well, it has to be more than one. It has to have 3.
I will remind him that he needs to get more than one, but so his 30,000 comes from that quote. So it doesn't come from just like his.
I know, but
So that's the first
I
part.
mean, you would have thought that we would have had all of them before we wrote the article.
So with the
No,
warrant,
it's
with the warrant articles, you have to remind yourselves constantly, because the public has a hard time with this too. Warrant articles don't require solid numbers.
It is, no, not, you're right, if you're doing a capital reserve fund.
Well,
This is not a capital
it's not a
reserve fund.
capital reserve fund,
No.
you're just asking straight money.
Bang. You need money. You need proof and you need bids. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Capital reserve funds, you don't have to have solid numbers to ask to put money in the capital reserve to do something. You do need it when you're saying, I got a price of $30,000 to do a roof.
so in this case, he will be limited to 30,000.
He needs a bids on
And this is approved. So this is
3 bids too.
actually this is to
3 bids, you're right, $5,000.
The quote is to have a metal roof on top of the actual roof.
Gonna put a standing seam up there probably over that.
Hmm?
Probably gonna say, put a standing seam roof over it.
I don't know.
Here's the last part of the discussion. So,
There's more?
as you know, the town doesn't own this building. Has been trying to locate the lease agreements that we may have with the fire department for this. I haven't been successful so far, so I don't know if there is any kind of requirements for us to help maintain or what.
I think if there was a, well,
But we need to have a,
But if
I think if we had a lease agreement, we'd have one right in our face.
Yeah, if you recall, there was a discussion, sorry, a discussion at the budget committee last week where people were wondering if there was an issue with the town raising money for private non-profit organization in a building that it doesn't own, or whether the more appropriate way was to treat it like we treat, for instance, the year-round library, where we can raise money, but then we give the money and they manage it.
That's two different things.
Right. So,
That's a valid point. If we don't own the building, and we're
I've been saying that all year.
it's a hard thing, but it just,
Why, you know, where is the nonprofit?
so at a minimum, I think that like in the voter's guide, if the board will recommend this article, we should clearly spell out to the voters that like the town doesn't own the building, but that like, I mean, it's a town service. so to speak.
It's been Chief Hempel's thing that if the Board of Selectmen don't approve it, he pulls it. He won't do it.
And this is a
He'll
fund.
pull the article.
This is a fund that was established in
If we- if-
2008,
if
so it's not something new.
If the Board of
No, it's
Selectmen
not.
don't agree with it,
Doesn't
and
mean that
we
we
don't
shouldn't fix
recommend
it
it,
if it needs to be
he'll
fixed.
pull the article. Just for there's no way.
So,
We have time. I'd like to find out the three bids, you know, and find out about the other part.
he's presenting to Wednesday, so he's not gonna get two
I'm gonna
weeks
go
of
there.
this before Wednesday.
I'm gonna go there.
38,000 is a lot, especially if it's just a spot fixing that needs to be done.
No, it's
not.
not.
It's not
But,
the whole roof.
I mean, it's hard to think that it would cost 30 grand to do that roof. That building's not that big.
I don't know though.
it's sold on roof on one that's close to that size and it's more than that.
It's metal roof, so it's more expensive, right?
Well, silicone
No.
is usually a cheaper alternative, which is why I'm saying that's a pretty good price in my opinion from what I've done.
But we're doing the whole building. We're even doing their school.
What was that?
We're even doing their school. They have a school there where they rent those rooms out to kids that want to be firemen. And that's part of the Firemen's Association that they have that school.
So the other clarification I just want to make is we keep saying bids. Yes, per bid policy, this price would fall into that. However, you can't go out to bid prior to your budget because you don't know that you have the contract. I don't know if you have the funds.
Yeah, but
So
still,
you can
That's a
get
nice
three
catch
quotes.
yeah, you can get 3 quotes.
Yeah, but I just want to make the delineation because you'll get a public member in here saying you didn't follow the process. Well, what the process is just gathering information and you get your 3 quotes. But how does that, this is where it gets tricky, to get 3 quotes and then are you putting out for sealed bids? Because then you already got your 3 quotes. So that's the tricky issue with that.
Actually, I mean, the other way to look at it is like he's putting a burden on himself because like he will only be able to go to 30 if that is approved and like if he gets 2 other quotes and
Maybe we'll split it with him and the association.
But how does that work? I mean, it's the town's not responsible for the building, so he's responsible.
Well,
for the
they're I'd like to see the contract. The contract would tell it all.
That's the other issue. We pay for heat there, any.
Furnace replacements, everything.
So we're in that, like those oddities I discussed earlier on in the year.
But where do we find this contract? Because
I don't know, it's gotta be somewhere.
So I had offered Mike into what we want going on with the church, even though it's not the building that we're dealing with. We have a shared leach field, we have, that contracted thing with their parking. It's one of those oddities, but at least we have that contract. Which I believe you do have to look at that, in the future because I believe it's expired.
But I mean, it may be a little bit different, but when you think of
Green ones
G1O,
or white ones. Double.
they maintain and they pay for everything they maintain.
Correct.
I'm good, thanks.
But again, we don't have a
Patrick.
contract.
Patrick,
Yeah,
Right,
Patrick.
you see?
I'm fine.
So these are also oddities where we either have a contract, but it's not valid, or we don't have a contract, or we have an easement, but it's not signed. We got a whole name of those.
Who pays for the insurance on that building?
We,
Well, that's
We
so that's the next issue, yes.
Okay.
we pay everything. Like we own it, but we don't.
Well, I really think we really need to have a lease and we need to see the lease. That's all I want to see what options we're supposed to take care of.
We both take care of everything.
Well, if that's the case, then that's the case.
we take
sure.
care of all of them.
Sure,
Yeah, no.
maybe the fire chief has a copy, maybe he can share with us.
All right. so
Probably,
what's the deal?
All I've heard is that
Expired.
they use it for
well,
I'm sorry?
I think we'd see it.
They lease it for a buck. Yeah.
I would've came forward.
there's no contract. All I've heard is that they leased it for $1,
And it was a 10-year lease,
and it was a 10-year lease.
and we don't know when. But I think that if it was still a valid lease, I think we would have seen something.
All right, the biggest point is I don't want us to put money into that roof and then actually says, they want the building back. So I want to see the lease. I
I
want
don't
to see
think they would do that.
No, but
Why would they? It needs a new concrete floor.
there's always a possibility. I just want to see when is the end of the lease. Is that too much? What?
Okay?
Alright, so. wait,
All right, moving
so-
forward.
No, wait, so you don't recommend that article?
No. Unless he comes up with more stuff.
Which would be what, 2 more quotes, so that's not.
2 more quotes,
So that's not
the,
going to resolve.
2 more quotes, and
The lease
the
agreement.
budget, the contract, the lease contract.
Okay.
So I don't think that's a lot to ask for.
I don't think it is at all,
I
Marshall.
don't.
So he's presenting Wednesday at the budget committee, so this is gonna come up.
I'll say the same thing. No?
That's it for us. Let's talk something fun.
No, you
Something
don't.
fun?
This is December. It turns out that Monday and Tuesday are holidays, town holidays, which is also the days that usually our part-time finance person is doing
It's doing what?
payroll,
On Monday.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so on the 17th, which is this coming Monday, she's going to do the payroll for the week, and in the 15th, the problem, then typically she would do on the 23rd, the payroll for the week ending on the Saturday, the 22nd, which is not going to happen. So she's going to have to do it Wednesday, the 26th,
For the next week?
for the week before.
Yeah, I know, but the thing about it is we don't even know if we need to be closing the building now. That might be all done by Sunday, right?
So we're talking about 2 different things.
I don't want to talk about it.
Talking about Christmas.
We're talking about Christmas.
Christmas.
And Christmas Eve. So they fall on a Monday and a Tuesday.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the work.
No,
Brenda usually processes.
We're talking about Christmas.
right.
So Brenda usually processes on Monday and Tuesday. So her easiest recommendation, because if you try to pay it, like, say you try to change the week ending issue, then it makes her process double. So her request is just to use paper checks. But you have to duly notify appropriately for that, because most of your employees are automatic deposit.
So this is gonna require a couple of
So
things.
why is this fun?
No, that's not
I'm
fun.
not finding the fun in all
It's
this.
the kind of stuff that like nobody thinks about until the last minute bit fee.
So what, we can just have Brenda work
So-
Christmas?
So the 26th, she would do the payroll, which would be done probably late on the 26th. We need at least 2 people to sign, either end of the 26th or morning of the 27th.
For that week, well, it should have been done Monday, it's getting done Wednesday.
And then we're gonna have to let people know that 2 things, that like, so it's coming later, and it's coming by check and not by
I don't want the checks coming later.
direct
People
deposit.
want their money.
And I don't know
People
how
are
your
counting on
payroll
it.
service is, but usually I can process mine and direct deposits can be entered in that night and they'll have it the next day.
Well, that's.
It still has to be
that's our
entered.
case.
So you're.
It has to be entered.
Yeah, but if you enter it Saturday, you'd have it for Friday. Yeah,
I guess I have
We gotta do it Monday.
Go ahead. I'll have a speak, please. Thank you.
What?
She's gonna give you the detail why it doesn't work here.
So the process of it is a little bit longer than that, it's like a 2-day turnaround, not immediate. But the other issue is, if you look at the week prior, she's concerned about people who work weekends and not the average staff that works Monday through Friday, it's the week ending stuff that makes the issue harder for her. So she's concerned about the overtimers, and you have highway, that's a possibility, if there's any storms, you have fire department and PD. So the other issue is, if she were to change the weekend until like Friday, and she'd have to come in on her day off, process early, and then you have to then take the next week into account and see where you didn't pay them for the prior week of the overtime, and it actually triplicates her process.
So you guys, you have that Monday off?
Yeah,
That's planned?
that Christmas
We-
Eve? Yeah, and we did bring the holiday schedule as well, because that is a topic of discussion that needs to be done.
That's the main
Christmas
subject.
Eve and Christmas are off. Because we gave up,
But Christmas Eve is at night.
no,
Christmas Eve is in between
It's the
24
day.
and 25.
24th is Christmas Eve. The whole day is Christmas Eve.
the Monday and Tuesday we have off, the buildings are closed.
And I'm not sure you could change the holiday schedule.
You can't because they approved it last year.
So, why don't we pay ahead?
So, because that triplicates her process.
Okay.
And so her easiest recommendation for everybody involved was to write paper checks, but in order to do that, because you have a ton of direct deposit employees, you would have to notify them appropriately. So one, anything that they have to change or maneuver, anything that gets automatically pulled, you'd have to make them aware, because that can make an issue on their end.
So if you notify them tomorrow, they've got a 2-week notice.
Correct.
Right. If they're gonna get.
And what's the other options?
So,
Do payroll on the 21st for that week?
so then you're,
Yes, but then you can either overpay them or underpay them, and then you're gonna have to fix it the next week, so
I personally think you change people's direct deposit. How many, there's a significant amount of the direct deposits?
90%
supposed to be
of
most of
them
them.
lose.
To me, I would say process it and then go back and fix any changes that need to. That way they have a majority of their money. That's my initial thought of it. And I get that it's more.
I mean, some of them count on that.
Yeah.
Well, it's more work, plus you're bringing in your part-time employee that normally doesn't work, and she's already got paid for the holiday, and now you're bringing her in again. So you have to consider all things.
Part-timers get holidays too?
part-times get if they work. If
I'm
they
sorry,
work-
did you say something?
If they work that day normally, like, and that's part of their schedule, like the Monday, and yes, they would get that.
I think, and this is how I look at it.
Is that for everybody?
Which they're gonna, or anyway.
Do they get that at the transfer station?
So, no, because they get the holiday. If you look at your last year's schedule, there is a reason for that. But like,
No.
take our office, it's a real simple thing.
Well, it is as in the transfer
If
station.
you don't work on a Monday and Tuesday normally, you're not gonna get paid for those holidays.
Okay, well, answer me this, answer mine. In order for them to get paid their thing and get the deposits, we have to have one employee that's gonna have to either give or take and be there to do what she has to do. And that's just one. So what's the big deal? I mean, she doesn't want to come in on those days, or she doesn't want to come in on her day off, or
It's a triplicate process. She was giving a recommendation based on not just one need, but the whole need.
Well, the only thing about that is I'm up for that and all that, but I need to find out a way that we can do it, that people get their checks when they are supposed to get their checks. I think that might even be illegal for us to, just because you notify them, don't give them their checks when they're supposed to have their checks.
So there's a requirement for us to pay, and she will pay.
You know, my whole concern is, let's say your mortgage comes out on the 30th of the month.
Right.
Pay electronically, and the money's not in there, and you get a paper check, you don't get it to the bank, it doesn't clear in time.
No
Now
paper
you
check.
bounce your bank, your mortgage payment, now you have a fee for that. That could come back.
Now
as
you're
some
$100
bonus.
out, all
So,
said and done.
I personally don't like that idea. I'd rather see them get, even if they're overpaid an extra hour to make sure we're covering it, and then we take it back off the next check, then I feel more comfortable with that person.
Yeah, me too.
can't we pay
Yeah,
her?
do it on the 20.
What you want to just direct the town administrator to do is decide
So we're gonna
how
do-
you want the payment.
We want the payment go as scheduled, and we want it to go, and if Brenda wants to do it on a Friday, or she can print it on the days that she is working here on Wednesday, and then take pay them all. The salary's easy. The people that are 40 hours easy, and if we owe them less or they owe us, you put a notice out to the department heads that we're going out on a limb here, but we were doing this so you can have your paychecks when you're supposed to have your paychecks, that you're counting on it. So have it go that route.
I think so too. I think they need to be paid because
No, because they count on it, man. And
People
people,
hard to change that stuff. It really is.
we're not
We're
rich
only
like
talking
you.
about- what we're really concerned is about highway department and PD, correct?
Right, so let me just point, so this is the discussion we had, and maybe it's easier visual if you have it. So if she's gonna do it as scheduled, she would have to do it basically on Christmas and Christmas Eve. We can't do that. So the suggestion of the office was to, let's change a week ending up here, and then you pay it out and she processes, so she'd have to come in this additional
Or do it
time
on the Wednesday that she's already here.
that you want to hear. So the problem, every day you shorten it is a day less that you don't have correct figures on pay.
We already know we're not going to have correct figures.
So the other issue is if they then work overtime and this is a holiday week, then they're not going to get that overage pay or that overtime pay before January 1st.
Well, we figured that just to get them a paycheck of some sort and on a regular time when they're supposed to get it. That's our intention, and it's good intentions of doing it.
Following Friday and processing the overtime possibly? I mean, I can't imagine that
So
if you,
But Brenda doesn't work on Fridays.
okay,
and the request,
Wednesday then.
Yes.
26th.
and the request was, if we change the week ending and then we pay, let's say they get their, even though it's adjusted, they'd get their regular direct deposit to then have paper checks for any overages.
I'm fine with that.
And
I'm
of
good
course-
with that.
And of course,
As long as they get their base paycheck, so they can do the base of it, like you said, because if they got direct deposits going out and they don't come in,
no, and that was
that's
my,
30 and 30, that's $60 right out of the
Because
gate.
your overtime's not going to be budgeted anyways for that.
so, but the only concern with that, and I'm just gonna let you know, that is not her recommendation because it makes triple the process for her.
And that was the discussion in the office before we came here, so.
Well, it is what it is, and, you know,
As long as we take care
I
of
mean,
it.
some part-timers don't have
It doesn't
vacation.
happen every year, so hopefully this is the one oddity for the next.
Well, some
7 years
part-timers
before we
don't even have
Monday,
vacation,
Tuesday.
don't have holidays.
Okay. Is
And,
that
and,
all?
and I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter if we have someone in-house to sign the checks, but this is why the deputy treasurer is so important when you have an in-house.
Hear it now.
Because you don't know if Glenn would be available to come in to do all these changes.
Perfect.
All right.
What do you got, Patrick?
The proposed holiday
Is that-
schedule
is your name
for
Patrick?
next year.
More days off?
So, no, so we only get 11 total. There are adjustments for the transfer.
No, are you gonna close the transfer station on Christmas? No, they can work.
I think we need to fire him.
That's why we're
With your new help. Yeah, New Year's Tuesday, January 1st, President's Day,
And there's no
Easter Sunday, transfer station
everywhere
open
comes this, but
Sunday,
there is no major significant change from
Memorial
this
Day,
year.
Independence Day,
The
Mama's
basic
Day,
is-
Veterans Day. And then we traded the one for the Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so the only thing you have to be aware of where it says Easter, it's not like it looks like a 12, they get 12 holidays instead of 11. Last year, the note for that was instead of President's Day, they would take, right, is that President's Day?
Yep,
11?
yep.
They would take Easter because they would prefer the Easter instead of President's Day.
I agree with that.
So that was their trade-off for their holiday.
And
Now, I didn't ask him this year, I didn't ask him if that's the same thought process this year, I just assumed that it would be the same.
Just stop, don't ask, okay?
And this is just based on the federal holiday schedule.
I work for us, I don't call them. And pay what to take off, Veterans Day.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did. I took off, I went sick.
that was the swap.
That's a good question.
I know.
I mean, some people would argue that Columbus Day is probably not
Right.
the correct this day, so.
But I know, but that's the day, that's the one that we took out. And then now all of a sudden we're not sure whether.
We don't need to go through that now, but like you could have like eventually a system where, so you, instead of 11 days, you give like the 5 big ones and you tell the people they get to pick like the 6 ones.
Well, that's what we did.
Between
I mean, they picked it, but that one got eliminated.
I'm not sure it's a big issue in this.
You never know. You never know.
That's good for
There
me.
could be, you never know.
The state of New Hampshire.
I'll keep But is that doing it?
So, no.
Oh, yeah,
So-
geez,
no,
we
no,
gotta
wait,
talk
wait,
about-
wait.
Come on, hurry up and get this over
Wait,
with.
so what's the resolution on this?
On what?
Holiday schedule?
You
The
did make a
schedule?
motion on your holiday schedule
For
for this.
2019.
Because it goes in the annual report, plus you have a change over, so your last meeting is, I'm assuming on the 17th. After that, you just have a holiday schedule, so we won't see you again until the new year. And you have to tell us, basically, as employees, that the first is off.
All right.
Boy,
man.
Joe in here hungover.
I think you all should work Christmas, to be honest with you, and then we'll be there. All right, I make a motion to approve the 2019 holiday schedule.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
All right, now we need to move into
I make a motion, we went to non-public RSA 91A3, Roman number 2B, roll call.
Motion to disappear.
Michael Wilson here.
Steve McWhinney here. Second?
A second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Turn it